Hello, I welcoming you to my new video on the periodic table and the hydrogen. We start again with the law of the conservation of energy, as we always do if we speak about energy, because this is the key. And we always write this formula in mass expressed format, which means the mass is the appearance of the energy. And if we divide both sides of the energy and the mass of the transformation with the volume, we are coming to the point that the density of the mass is no other than the concentration of energy. The increase of the density means the transformation of the energy into mass, and the opposite way, the decreasing density means the transformation of the mass into energy. The conservation of energy is not about how to formulate it easily, burning coal or gas and heating the room. There is obviously certain relation, but the law of the conservation of energy means constant elementary change, or the elementary change is constant. I could name the proton as the process of the generation of the internal elementary energy, which is the result of the decrease of the density of the elementary mass. This would mean in consort with the fact that the proton has positive charge. I could say that the neutron is the process of the transformation of the energy into mass, the increase of the density. The neutron has no charge. It is neutral, as its name also suggests. And I could name the electron process as the drive of the elementary change, the drive of the elementary process. The concentration of the energy needs internal work. The release is free. Therefore, the drive as such has its certain important function. I can also say that the quarks and the other leptons are measured impulses about the gradients of the changes. If the elementary particles have lifetime, they are certainly processes for sure, and therefore have to be assessed as processes. The relativity directs us to realize spacetimes are real. The spacetimes are acting categories in physics. The spacetimes are de facto parts of the everyday life. The space and time counts vary. Our spacetime on the surface of the Earth is only one of the many acting around us. The elementary processes happen with different intensities, which in fact separates them from each other. In one, the intensity of the concentration of the energy is larger than the release, or vice versa. The elementary process of the copper differs from the oxygen. The silicon differs from the uranium, and so on, but they are still all in balance. In their own spacetime is the one which means the element itself. Dmitry Mengyelejev prepared the sequence of elementary processes. The ruler was the number of the protons, the periodic number. The more the numbers of the protons in the elementary process are, the more intense the transformation of the mass into energy is. The point is that we can't measure the mass of the proton directly. We conclude on the mass and on the numbers of the particles through the impulses we measure. We can't count the numbers. We just turn the strength of the signals into mass and numbers. What the relation of the intensities of the transformation of the mass into energy and in the opposite way of the energy into mass is. This relation might be given by the ratio of the numbers of the protons and the neutrons. But this ratio, in fact, is the relation of the measured intensities of the signals of the impulses we measure. This relation gives information on the nature of the elementary process. It gives the relation of the internal generation and the internal utilization of the energy. May it be that this ratio for the hydrogen has no meaning, as it is still supposed that the normal hydrogen has no neutron? But wait, please, we do not measure the mass of the particles. We measure signals, impulses. What is if we simply can't measure the impulse of the neutron process of the hydrogen? It easily can be the case if the signal of the neutron process is extremely weak. There is, on the diagram here, the ratio of the intensities of the proton and neutron processes of the periodic table. The ratio more than 1 means the internal energy generation within the elementary process is the dominant one. These are the oxygen, helium, the nitrogen, the carbon, the silicon, the calcium, and the sulfur. There is just one surprise. That is the hydrogen. In the case of all other elementary processes, the utilization of the internal energy, the increase of the density is the dominant one. The columns of all these elementary processes do not reach 1 on the axis y. It seems there is a kind of tendency in this diagram, but we need to compare elementary processes with each other on a common base. For these processes, we can divide the absolute ratio by the periodic number, and in these we are coming to the unit values of the change. The diagram is here. The hydrogen process here is missing again, but we can also realize that the diagram of the unit values corresponds to the function of 1 per x. The two diagrams are the same. The diagram of the unit values of the intensity is in fact equal to the 1 per x function. This is, as we can say, not too dramatic, since this is the inverse of the number of the neutrons. But the sequence of the numbers of the neutrons within the periodic table alongside the axis is x is not a harmonic one. One thing, however, is certain: there can't be 0 in the denominator of the 1 per x function. The value of x may approach 0 as close as possible, but can't be value of 0. So why would the hydrogen process be dropped out from this order? Is the universe created in 2 ways? All elements but the hydrogen with neutrons, and the hydrogen separately without? Once we measure impulses, it may easily be that the intensity value of the neutron process of the hydrogen is so tiny that it's simply not measurable. And there is a difference in principle between a signal which can't be measured or does not exist. If the intensity of the neutron process of the hydrogen is approaching zero, the unit value of the intensity of the internal energy generation approaching infinity, which in fact is the case. The hydrogen is the most intense in the elementary communications, is the most abundant in the chemical reactions. This is the diagram here, which suggests a column of infinite intensity at the start of the periodic table for the hydrogen. And in this case, the relation of the unit values of the elementary intensities is in full consonant with the function of the 1 per x, which is the integral of the natural logarithm, stressing here the word natural. It might easily be that the infinite large energy generation intensity of the hydrogen process could be utilized. But we are running out of time now, and the related small-scale experiment is not included into this video. But next time, it certainly will be. Thanks for watching and following me. Take care. See you next time.